Hello, good morning, and welcome to this Dawn Busters Taste Challenge. We have two 80, no, not 80 proof, two American Kentucky bourbon whiskeys. Can't get it out. They're both from Barton brands, and neither one of them have a website listing. All right, so on this Dawn Busters Taste Challenge, we're going to bring in 10 High, introduced in 1934. Now it says established 1879, right? Well, they didn't have 10 High in 1879. They didn't have it till 1934. Okay, it's an old brand. Well, why did they say 1879? Because that is when Hiram Walker Distillery was established, okay, in Canada. Then they started producing American. They expanded into the United States and produced stuff. So there's Mr. Hiram Walker with his foot up on a 10 High barrel with his dog, and he's got a glass of something, and it says Kentucky Sour Mash. Yes. Bourbon whiskey, a blend, however. This is a type of bourbon called blended bourbon, or bourbon whiskey, a blend, meaning it is at least 51% straight bourbon, but it's allowed to have up to 49%, I was going to say Kentucky, but grain neutral spirits from any state. So unaged grain spirits can make up to 49% of a blended bourbon. Is blended bourbon popular? No, not really. But you could find it here or there. I don't know why they make it, because it's no cheaper than the regular bourbon. So it's just something they make. It's allowed. It's part of the bourbon types. So it exists. This was $9.99 at Mathern's, $9.99. But then I can buy Kentucky straight bourbon at a local store for $8.99. Also from Sazerac. Barton is part of Sazerac. The other one is from, they call it Legacy Distilling or Founders Company, but it's all Sazerac. But and then I can buy Ancient Age, the pretty famous one from Albertsons right now for $9.99. So I don't know why somebody would buy a blended one that's got, if you want to call it grain neutral spirits filler, for the same price as straight. And Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey has no coloring and no flavors added. This is allowed to have coloring and flavoring, but it doesn't mention that. And Sazerac, Barton, Sazerac, Buffalo Trace, they're pretty good about, if they add coloring or flavoring, they'll just put it on the bottle. They don't care. They just want you to know. So that's nice. That's a nice courtesy. Now here's very Old Barton. Introduced in 1964, 30 years after 10 High. Crafted. Well, everything made is crafted in some form. So it's kind of a meaningless statement. The old bottles used to say age 6 years instead of 86 proof. It would have a number 6-year age. But after Sazerac bought it in 2009, they bought the distillery. Those age statements started to disappear, and now it's just, well, we know it's aged at least 4 years because there's no age statement, and any whiskey with no age statement has to be at least 4 years old. So both of these got the 4-year or more age on them. Okay, so that's not the issue. This one doesn't claim to be sour mash, so I would assume it's not, because anytime Sazerac puts out a sour mash bourbon, they're always hot, quick to tout that. Whether that really makes it better or not is debatable. People will argue about that on the internet. So it's from Barton Distillery, but if you look at the bottle carefully, it says bottled in Frankfort, Kentucky, and that's at Buffalo Trace. So I don't know why they bottle it there. Maybe they moved all their bottling facilities to Buffalo Trace just to save money. It's all I got to do is bring it up the road, either on a train or 18-wheeler, in those tanks. And I have to say, when I went on the tour of Barton Distillery in 2017, they don't do tours anymore. They may resume it at some point, but during this pandemic, they stopped it. Either they didn't have enough people to give a tour, or even more likely, they didn't have enough people taking the tour. When I went on the tour, it was me and one other person on the tour. 10:30 a.m. tour is the early morning, the first tour. But still, I just think they were like, why are we doing this? Nobody's coming. Kill it off. Same thing with Houston, Texas, Anheuser-Busch Brewery. They used to give tours there. They had this beautiful welcome center, all this fancy woodwork, beautiful displays, and no one there. I was the only one on that tour. And so I don't know how many tourists went to Houston, Texas, and then said, let's go to the warehouse district, east in the eastern part of Houston, where there's really nothing else there except a bunch of oil refineries and such. So, and then that brewery. So they probably just said, man, aside from having private events here, which they might still rent that out for private events, there's nothing happening. There's nobody showing up. So let's just kill it, which is what they did. I'm just guessing at the reasoning, but I know they don't give tours in Houston anymore. That was the best tour, best brewery tour I ever went on, but I had to pay $35 for it, or $30. It was like it was like the Brewmasters tour, whatever they call it, and they go through every intricate detail on the tour. Took me to the every stage of the operation, even up to the laboratory where they were testing at that time. Interestingly, you might find this interesting. They were testing out hurricane high gravity. They had bottles with corks in the top, and it said Hurricane HG. They were taking them to the lab to make sure that hurricane high gravity lager, malt liquor would live up to Anheuser-Busch's strict quality standards. Now we laugh at that, like, oh, that's bum stuff. Nobody drinks that. Well, people do drink it. Walmart always has it in the 25-ounce can. So they really do take care of whatever they're making. I'm not saying that they're proud of it. Like if you go on an Anheuser-Busch tour, they're not going to be showcasing Hurricane High Gravity. All right. They're going to showcase Budweiser, Bud Light, maybe even Natural Light to some extent. And of course, Michelob Ultra, but not Hurricane High Gravity. I mean, they'll have it in the display case, but it's not prominent, We know that. But it's there. And I'm just bringing that as an example. I want them to ring like a chime. It's the same thing at Buffalo Trace. If you go on a tour there, you're not going to see 10 High. You're not going to see very Old Barton, because that's not what they showcase. They make it. They really don't want to get into that. That's why it's not even on the websites. And the website they had for Barton, greatbourbon.com, I went to check it this week and it's defunct. Maybe they're reformulating the website, you know what I'm saying, reconstructing it, whatever you call that. But I think they just killed it off. But no, if you go to Buffalo Trace, you're going to see Buffalo Trace. They're going to push that heavy. Eagle Rare, heavy. Blanton's, they have a special warehouse, a special bottling facility for that one. So that was very interesting to go see. So that's what they're going to push. They'll talk about Ancient Age a little bit if you bring it up, but they're not pushing it. All right. Just like if you go to the Jack Daniels tour, they're going to push Jack Daniels, Jack Daniels, Jack Daniels, Jack Daniels repeatedly. Do they only make Jack Daniels there? No, they have cheap, under the radar whiskeys they make. That's probably not even going, it's going to use an alias name. That's not, well, they're trying to distance themselves from it, but these companies want to cover all the levels. The high, your Eagle Rare, which is not even the high, that Pappy Van Winkle and the whatever two initials Stag, the Stag and the Hancock and all, that's the high. Then they got the high Eagle Rare, Blanton's, and then they got their premium product, which is Buffalo Trace. But these lower shelf ones, and in fact, let's be frank, they're on the lowest shelf. They're not going to push it. Zachariah Harris. That's another straight bourbon from Sazerac. Don't even bother looking on the website because you're never going to find it. But you'll find it right there in the store. And for a nice price. Is it any good? I don't know. I never tried it. Can't say. I got a bottle, haven't opened it. I got it for $8.99. There's an example, $8.99. And sometimes it'll be on sale for that. Even now, after all the inflation. I did have the Zachariah Harris eggnog, though, and that was very good. I have to admit, that was very good. Not as good as the Evan Williams eggnog. Evan Williams really is the best pre-mix liquor eggnog I ever had. It's better than Pennsylvania Dutch because it's got more body. It's thick. It's really something the way they do it. Well, some people might find that a turn off, that thickness, but I liked it. All right, anyway, on to the products. Phil says, hello from Paris, J. Cheers with Rinse Cochon beer. Have a nice day. You too. Well, Craft Beer Tastic says, I miss all the specialty Michelob offerings from back in the old days, back in the day. Yeah, I remember that around 2011, 2012. The Michelob Pale Ale, Michelob Dunkel, Vice. I think they had well, I have all the bottle caps, or many of the bottle caps. They made so many, but I guess people didn't want them. You know, had a whole line of specialty, if you want to call them craft beers, because like I said, the term doesn't mean anything. But some people think it does. It's not a legal term. Sorry, can't help you. But they would have the variety packs of all the different Michelobs, and I bought it and I loved it. And I kept finding new ones, you know. But then they had a red ale, I think, a red one, red lager. And then it just disappeared overnight. Why is that? Obviously, why? It wasn't selling. The craft beer people wouldn't drink it. They probably wouldn't even try it because it's from Anheuser-Busch, the evil empire, you know, as they saw it. And the regular beer people wouldn't drink it because, you know, regular beer people won't try anything new because they think it's going to be nasty. It's like, why don't you try this red ale or this Dunkel Weiss or this Doppelbock or this pale ale? Oh, no, it's going to be nasty. Well, how do you know it's going to be nasty? You never tried it. Oh, I don't like strong beers. Well, this was only 4.9, you know. Oh, no, it's going to be bitter. And none of it's really ever bitter, you know. It's like, but they won't try it. I tried that with my family, try to get them to try specialty beers. Oh, no, it's going to be gross. They want to drink Coors Light, so that's what they drink. The Michelob Ultra people, now that took off like wildfire, right? Came out with that, what, in 2012 or 2008, something like that. Took off like wildfire, you know. Michelob Ultra is like the king of the golf course. You say, but that thing is so bland. I know, but that's what's popular. Bland beers are popular. Bland pizza is popular. Bland Italian food is popular. Everything bland is popular. You say, oh, in Louisiana, everything's fiery hot. Wrong, wrong. Not really. Most Louisiana people I know don't like spicy food. Now, 40 years ago, different story. I'd go to lunch at school and everything, spaghetti meatballs, you'd be blowing your nose and wiping your forehead eating it, but it was so good. And the red beans and rice, white beans and rice was fiery hot. Those old women along the river parishes, along the Mississippi River, everything was fiery hot. But as more people moved in here from other states to work at these refineries, Marathon, Shell, DuPont, and so forth, they don't, you know, their viewpoint won out. They really wanted the bland food. Okay, so I don't even see the Amber Bock anymore around here. I can get it at Dorgnac's, but how long are they going to sell it? How much longer? All right, let's go with this. So this is not going to really be a taste challenge. There's no way 10 High is going to win. It cannot win. It will not. I don't even think they make this version anymore, but, you know, Sazerac always proves me wrong. Seems like when I say it's not around, I go to the store and there's a new case of it arriving, you know. I'll see the man stocking it on the shelf. But I haven't seen these bottles in a good while. Mathern's had them, but those were leftovers. And then I bought one for myself, and then I gave my friend David one. And then maybe they had one more left and somebody bought it. But now all you see is the new version of 10 High. That's it. That's all I see. Go to Walmart. That's all I see. Go to Mathern's, all I see. Winn-Dixie, all I see. So it's the new 10 high is called bourbon whiskey with natural flavors. Isn't that funny? Okay. So, but it still says sour mash, but I mean, it's, you say, is there anything lower in than this? I don't know. Can you put some under the shelf? Because it's on the low shelf. Really, that's it. That's the bottom. And once again, all the liquor companies sell these things. Even Jim Beam, you say Jim Beam, that's their lowest. No, it's not. It's the lowest they'll talk about. But I got a bottle of Beam's 8-star. Beam's 8-star. I got a bottle, and that's lower than Beam, and they ain't going to talk about it. But that's fine. I don't take issue with that. Why not put out a super cheap product? They got people out to buy it, so, and I talked to distributors in the past, and they told me there's big money in that. Don't be fooled. The distributors told me, don't be fooled. We're going to have a tasting for Eagle Rare. Okay, that's what they'll have a tasting for on Thursday afternoon or whatever. But they're going to make, they said, but we make a lot of money off of Mogan David. We make a lot of money off of this kind of stuff. There's no advertising budget. There's no promotional. You say Hartley Brandy. Hartley Brandy. Oh, that's a headache in a bottle. Oh, I got so sick off that one time. Oh, it's so blah, 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 whatever. Always at Winn-Dixie. Always in the regular bottle, in the big bottle. It's not going to stay on the shelf if it doesn't sell. And you never see a bottle with dust. They're always new. You could tell they're new. You just tell they didn't fade under those strong lights or anything. So those are, you said, well, who in the world buys Hartley Brandy? I don't know who buys it. Somebody's buying it. Okay. And Total Wine's got it. All right. On with this. This smells like nothing. This smells like water. And a little bit of yeast, fermented product. It smells like fermented product and water. It's not a bad smell. I'm not going to sit here and talk about, oh, it's bad. I hate it. The appearance on these is the same. They're both copper. Well, this one's a little more copper. This one's a little more gold. So maybe that one is the very Old Barton, which I thought was darker. But then on the other hand, I'm not smelling anything. Okay. Yeah, I think, now this could be an illusion, a mirage. I think I'm smelling the charred oak. But to sit here and say one of these is very aromatic, it's not. They're not. They're just not. So now we go with the taste. And if you, the viewer, has had either one of these, let me know what you think. Whether you like it, hate it, don't care about it. It's fine. I don't ever get offended about products. Some people do. I mean, they get wound up. You ever watch comments from Recom? Some people get like offended that you don't like their favorite brand. Like it's a personal attack on them. But it's never that. If I drink something, or in my case, usually it's tasting something. If I taste something and I find that it's kind of so-so and I give it a C, it's not a personal attack on you or your character or your family or your heritage. It's just, I don't think it's that good, okay? And then other stuff that everybody's supposed to hate, I'll try it and I'll be like, man, this stuff's pretty good. What's up with the hate? And then people will get enraged about that. Like, you have to hate it because it's not pop. No, I don't have to do anything. Neither do you. It's supposed to be a free country, right? But there's a lot of cultural totalitarianism out there. Okay. Honestly, there is a little wood on both of these, but that one maybe is more charred and this one's more like not charred. Although we know 51% of it is straight bourbon and it would have to be charred oak. Doesn't mean it had to be a heavy char though. Okay. You say, what does it taste like? Well, it tastes like bourbon, honestly. And it tastes like a Sazerac bourbon because there's something about their yeast strain. I can't pin it down. I can't really express it. I can't communicate it, but I know it exists. It's something about, like, if you drink any Sazerac bourbon, they got this common It's almost like a common feeling with it, like a common body or something. But it's like this yeast thing, and I can't explain it, but I can kind of notice it. I guess we call that a house style, sort of like Anheuser-Busch beers. You know, they all kind of taste the same, no matter what the price. Uh, or Miller, for that matter. Miller beers always be tasting the same. Um, and that's why the Paps and the Schlitz taste so strange now, because they got away from Miller. And now they got a new brewing company, City Brewing, doing their beers. And I guess they're not using the same yeast strain. So, well, I'm not a brewmaster. I can't explain it. All right, next taste. I always notice when people say, I'm going to take another drink. That always caught my attention watching videos when people say, now I'm going to take another drink. I've never heard that expression until I started watching videos, reviews, because no one in Louisiana says that I've ever heard. And I've been living here my whole life. They'll say, I'm going to take another sip. Now, people will say that I'll have a drink, like a thing, the drink. But they'll take a sip. But I never heard anybody say, I'm going to take another drink. Now, the parents might tell the child, you're going to drink that. You wanted it, now you're drinking it because you cried for it in the store, but they'll say, just take a sip and then another sip. But I never heard anybody say, take a drink. I'm not ridiculing people saying it that way, but it sounds unusual to me. You pour a drink, you mix a drink, you buy a drink, but you take a sip of it. That's just my thinking about how to speak. All right. I think this is the very Old Barton, because I'm getting some charred oak. Not, I would say, heavy char, but it's there. I mean, it's definitely not light. I guess we'd say moderate. Good stuff. Good product. I think it's a good product. Put a little bit light on here, but it's daylight. You can see the daylight's coming in from outside now. I was walking before I did this video, and it was already becoming daylight. But on the other hand, to be fair, and I always try to be fair in these videos, even though it makes some people angry for some reason. Now, you might say, well, who would get angry over a video review? Oh, yeah, I mean, the crazy people, because that's like a sign of craziness. So you're going to get angry over a video review. But some people are that way, real, what you call touchy, don't touch me. What do you say? What do you mean? What are you talking about? What? Is that an insult? I mean, you just might have been talking to them. You thought you were communicating, but, or I call it volatile people. They're on the internet, man. I run across these people. They're volatile. They get angry in seconds. And you never know how to approach a person like that, because if your only two settings are calm and exploding with rage, that's you can't really interact properly with a person like that. You say, I know people like that. I know we all know people like that. I try to avoid them, But anyway, this is the 10 high because it's a little blander, but it's not bad. I will not sit here and say the 10 high tastes bad. I never said it tasted bad. Ever. I never said it was wonderful. Like, oh man, 10 high, you just got to buy it. It's so amazing that 51% grain neutral spirits. It just really adds a special touch to it. No, it adds a special cheapness to it. But the overall assessment is, does it taste good? It tastes pretty good. And so, but I'll still give the win to this one. And the price is about the same on them. So maybe Barton, very Old Barton might be $2 more, but that's not even. I'm not even sure about that. Well, guess what? This is the 10 high that I thought had more char. That's a shock. So now I stand at 1 win, 1 loss. But I'm not making excuses. I just think that Sazerac yeast strain, that common yeast strain, kind of confused me. All right, thanks for watching. Bye-bye, y'all.